Hi everyone, Nathan here from Mighty Lancer Games. Today we're going to bring you a little battle report from a game that I had at the shop with one of our regulars, Cabane, last night. So my Night Lords played his Iron Warriors at Horus Heresy 30k, the second edition rules. In preparation, it was a 3,000 point game in preparation to take the list 3,000 points aside to Warhammer Fest. So myself and a few friends are going to Warhammer Fest to play in the Heresy narrative campaign later next month. How are you doing, Doc? So just give you a quick rundown. We're going to put some pictures up here of what's happening on the photos that we took during the game, and I'm going to try and describe what happened throughout the game. So I've got my iPad here so I can look back at the pictures, and then I'll tell you all about it. So Cabane got the first turn, and then he was deploying his army first. So he deployed his whole force following the mission rules, Lords of War, heavy support, etc., through to fast attack. Deployed all of those across the side of the board. We were alternating deployment. The only model that I had to deploy was Conrad Kerr's Night Lords Primarch, the Dark Prince. So I've put him on the board. I've deployed him behind a building at my side of the board, and Cabane has deployed his entire force across the backfield. So there's a building over on the far right as I look at it, which is deployed some Iron Havocs in there with missile launchers. He's got a Spartan with a 10-man Terminator squad in. He's got a Sakaran. He's got a Rhino with a tactical squad. He's got another tactical squad inside. Over on the left-hand side of the board, there was a Vindicator, which was like sheltering under a building at the start of the game. Another Rhino with a tactical squad, a Terminator squad. There's a couple of Dreadnoughts kicking about, and then he's got a 20-man unit of tactical Marines with his Warlord accompanying them, a Praetor with a Power Axe. So Cabane got the first turn. I failed to seize the initiative, and he advanced everything forward into the middle of the board. So in Onslaught, we both got the opportunity to place a objective marker in our opponent's deployment zone. So he had placed his over here on the left-hand side of my deployment zone, and I had done the same. I'd put one over near where he'd placed his Vindicator. So he advanced everything up, and in the first shooting of the game, fired with the Iron Havocs from the building over at this side at Kerr's. He'd given them a console something. It is a special bit of war gear, so they ignored the range penalty for the night fighting rules that were in effect because I was using the Terror Assault's right of war, and but you still had to suffer the ballistic skill penalty. And then so they fired and inflicted a wound on Kerr's. Shock horror. Kerr's took a wound in the first round of the game, and then opened up with a few other bits of war gear and a couple more shots, but Kerr's weathered all the fire, and that ended Cabane's first turn. My first turn, I realised that Kerr's was going to get significantly more fire if I left him where he was. So I used his enhanced run from his armour. He can run up to 8 inches plus 12 instead of his initiative because of the benefit that he gets from his war gear. So I ran him over into cover on the left-hand side of the board near the objective that Cabane was heading for, and basically sat him next to that, and then rolled for his It Will Not Die rule and managed to regain the wound that he'd lost in the first turn. Cabane's second turn continued his implacable advance, and everything moved further forward. So he advanced Rhino with the tactical squad through some difficult terrain over on the left-hand side. The Dreadnought, the Terminators, the big 20-man brick of guys, they advanced a little bit further forward on the right-hand side of the board. The Terminators and things moved further across, and then he unloaded a whole fusillade of shots at Kerr's. So I'd modelled Kerr's on the scenic base that he comes with rather than the smaller gaming base, because if I'm honest, I'd probably never thought that I would use him in a game. But so we allowed the larger model to be the basis for the shooting. Thought that was fair. And Kerr's took 2 more wounds from various shooting in that turn. So then we get on to the Night Lord's second turn. So I had deployed, the only reason I deployed Kurz on the board on his own at the start of the game was because the rest of my army was preparing in reserve for a deep strike assault. So what happened was I rolled for reserves, made a successful reserves roll, and then placed my first drop pod, Dreadclaw Assault Pod, onto the battlefield near the objective that I'd placed, which was near the Vindicator. Roll for scatter, we moved it over a little bit. Excuse me. Moved that over a little bit, and then we rolled to see if it was a disordered assault. It wasn't. Got a successful roll on that. So then I could place the rest of my deep striking units across the board, which I did. So everything can deploy within 12 inches of another unit, and then like everything spread out, and it was all fine and dandy. So I've got a Dreadclaw Assault Pod here. I've got two more near his 20-man squad of guys. I've got a deep striking assault squad unit came down behind his Vindicator that he'd moved out from under the building. 2 units of jet bikes that I deployed further away across the the board to shoot into the rear of both the Sicaran and the Spartan. Another unit that were going to attack Night Raptors that were going to attack the Iron Havocs. Some more Raptors and another assault squad that were going to attack a tactical squad over on that side of the board. And some more Raptors ready to attack the Terminators or the regular infantry squad. Then we did the heat blasts from the vehicle. So we missed, realised after the game, realised that we'd missed a little rule from the deep strike that we should have made pinning tests for his units. So it is quite horrible. It is quite horrible when I read the rules properly. So drop pod a deep strike assault is I place the first model. Once that's placed correctly, roll a dice, and if the deep strike is disordered, then my opponent gets to place all my other units with anywhere within 24 inches of the first unit. However, if the roll is a 2 or higher, which it was last night, then I get to deploy all my stuff within 12 inches, which I did. Though no model can be within 1 inch of an enemy or within impassable terrain. Okay, did that right. I missed this bit. Once all units are deployed, any enemy units that have 1 or more models within 6 inches of any unit deployed as part of the deep strike assault must make an immediate pinning test. Once all pinning tests are resolved, any enemy units that are neither pinned back or falling back are within line of sight and range must choose to make the intercept. May choose to make the interceptor reaction. I'll check that in a second. Tagging any one of the units deployed as the deep strike assault. So I deployed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units as part of my deep strike assault. Once all units from the deep strike assault have been deployed and any interceptor reactions have been resolved, turn proceeds as normal. Units that have been deployed as part of the deep strike assault may not move or run in the same movement phase they are deployed, but may shoot and assault as normal. Now, the bit that makes that slightly horrible is I'm playing as Night Lords, and Night Lords get an advantage to hit and wound and what have you against units that they outnumber and also that are pinned or falling back, which I missed last night, which would have made it significantly easier for me to destroy my opponent. And also, because most of my units cause fear, they would have taken a penalty on their test to be pinned in the first place. So that is really disgusting, and I had completely missed. We also missed the interceptor reaction, which let's just have a quick look at that and see how much that might have swung things. It's an advanced reaction. Unlike core reactions, they are activated in unique and specific circumstances as noted in the description and can often have game-changing effects. Advanced reactions use up points of reactive player's reaction allotment as normal and obey all other restrictions placed on reactions. So it wouldn't have been able to shoot me as many times as they did in the phase, but that's fine. The advanced reaction may be made whenever an enemy unit enters play from reserve within line of sight of a friendly unit and within the maximum range of at least one weapon in that unit. The reacting unit may make a shooting attack targeting a unit deployed on the battlefield in this phase and follows all the usual rules for shooting attacks. Oh, so it wouldn't have, because he shot me anyway. Using a different reaction, so that's fine. That wouldn't have changed things significantly. But what I do need to do is check that I'm correct in this pinning and fear and falling back rule, and see how that might have affected the game. But yeah, absolutely horrible. Night Lords are disgusting. You can't make reactions in any fair. Ah, gee whiz. So, bloody murder. This is the important bit here, I guess. When a unit composed entirely of models with this special rule declares a charge targeting a unit that is pinned or falling back, the charge roll gets an additional +1 modifier, and if the charge is successful, all models in the charging unit get +1 attack. +1 attack for the duration of the turn in which that charge is made. So, because most of my models cause fear, so it would be inflicting at least a -1 penalty to my opponent's pinning tests when I did my drop assault. So they would have to take the leadership test. If they fail their leadership test, then all of my stuff that's got the bloody murder special rule, which is most of it. Oh, maybe not the Terminators. Maybe not the Contacar Terminators, but I think I can give them that rule under another rule. That might be something that I need to double check later. But certainly the Raptors and a couple of the other units that I was using have the bloody murder special rule, and then on top of the other Night Lord's talent for murder rule. It could have been so much less. So I drop all of my army in as a deep strike assault. It goes all across the battlefield, and then all of my opponent's army has to take a pinning test, which means I wouldn't have taken as many casualties potentially from the shooting that they made as reactions in the shooting phase and the assault phase, and then I would have got significantly more attacks in the combat phase. That's just really, I thought about this strategy and I thought that it was going to be good, but this is just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I am going to slightly rejig my list, just to maximise like how disgusting this could be. Yeah, coming to Warhammer Fest soon. So that would have changed the game slightly, because it would have meant that the reactions would have been different when we've done things differently. Now, I wanted to read the rules to make sure that I'd done things correctly, and it turns out that it's much worse. Much worse. So we did the heat blasts from the drop pods coming in, managed to inflict a casualty or two using that, and then I disgorge all my troops and unload with all of my shooting attacks into Cobain's units. Managed to destroy the Sicaran, inflict 3 hull points onto the Spartan, and then get ready for a whole load of assaulting across the board. Cobain used some reactions to fire back at me, and then we assault. So, because of the way that I'd deployed and the casualties that he'd taken before the assault, using the various Night Lords special rules, talent for murder, etc., we get bonuses to wound if we outnumber our opponent, or they're pinned, or they're falling back, and what have you. So, in the assault phase, I wipe out the tactical squad, wipe out the Iron Havocs, wipe out his 20-man unit, his Warlord. So I've disgorged some Terminators from these drop pods over here, and accompanying one of the drop pods, one one of the Terminator squads is Sevatar. Sevatar, the first captain of the Night Lords. So Cobain challenged Sevatar to a duel. So we placed them up on top of the rock. The Terminators and the Night Raptors decimate the infantry squad that's there, and then Sevatar and the Praetor duel on in the challenge on the top of the rock. Sevatar attacks first because he's higher initiative with his Duelist Edge special rule, and also he gets a special rule which, if he's fighting an opponent with weapon skill 5 or more, his attacks deal instant death. And unfortunately, before Cobain's Praetor could even defend himself, Sevatar cuts him down. All the rest of the assaults go off. The assault squad over on this side melter bomb the Vindicator, destroying the Vindicator, and then Kurz charges into the assault squad, and we left him till last, and he kills the assault squad. So we've only actually played 2 turns of the game because Cobain kind of decided that he didn't really want to continue. It wasn't worth continuing. Fair play to him, because I realised that it probably wasn't a great deal of fun just having everything wiped out in close combat. However, it did do exactly what I hoped it would do. I need to check a couple more rules just to make sure that I've done everything correctly, because it's only probably the 5th or 6th game of 30k that I've ever played. But I tailored this army to be on theme. So the narrative event that we're going to at Warhammer Fest is on the Saturday. We're going to play 2 games, 3,000 points, and it's supposed to, in my mind, narrative means on theme. On theme. So terror assault for the Night Lords. The way I've built my army. Spoiler alert for anybody that might be watching this: it's going to Warhammer Fest and ends up facing me. The idea is that Kurz and maybe one of the unit on the board at the start of the game can weather the storm in the first turn or 2, and then I deep strike the rest of my army, get into melee combat as early as possible, and hopefully completely demoralise my enemy. If I remember these pinning rules and things correctly, then my assaults and attacks could be even worse, could be even more devastating, because it's like really cool. So, hope that's been interesting. Let us know in the comments below if you found it informative. We hope to bring you some more. We'll try and get a little bit better at it. I'll try and get more photos so we can give you more detail and more granular stuff about the combats and stuff. But yeah, first attempt at a battle report, guys. Hope you like it. Please let us know, and see you all soon. Bye!